Hey guys, welcome back to Propagate Orchids. Thanks for checking in. Want to chat real quick today about orchid propagation and some of the maybe myths surrounding it and some of the truths that unfortunately exist in orchid propagation. As always, this is, let's say, a beginner experience that we're sharing. Hopefully, some of you beginners out there, if you want to divide some orchids, you may find this to be a good guide for some that are decent household plants, fairly easy to grow, and take readily to division. So if you're a person like us and you like to give plants away to people and you try to dump them on everyone that you meet, it's nice that you can divide plants at home and give them away. Spread the joy of orchids and houseplants. So for plants like Phalaenopsis, the very typical, moth orchid that you get at the store, really good gateway orchid for most of us. That's how we got into it. But if you're new to them, then these plants are notoriously difficult to, basically impossible for the home grower to just take cuttings from and divide. So pretty much the only way for Phalaenopsis orchids that you can get new plants that are genetically identical to the parent is through keikis. This is a keiki, or the start of a keiki, coming on this spike. This is a Phalaenopsis little sister, and this plant is known to produce keikis. You can just see the start of some roots coming out right at the very base of this growth here. This will produce a new little genetically identical plant. We already have another keiki that this plant made. It's growing at our work. We separated it like a year and a half ago, something like that. Oh yeah, this plant is growing. A couple new spikes, inflorescences, let's call them. There's one there, and then a new one down at the base, and it's losing leaf. Fine. These plants also are propagated by what's called meristem cloning, and you can take a lab, a really sophisticated high-tech laboratory, can take tissues from these plants and grow them in flasks, little jars on nutrient media, and get thousands of genetically identical plants. So really just stable way for, mass producers to get their orchids out there, stock their greenhouses and showrooms. Anyways, not for the home grower. So there are keiki pastes you can use to encourage them. You put them on the little nodes of the spikes, and supposedly you can encourage. And, don't just be tricked, though, by all these YouTube videos out there from, let's say, shady people that promise, cut your leaf and put it in like potatoes or aloes or whatever, and magically you get all these roots. Be wary of that. Sure, experiment, try some things. We don't really do much of that because we got plenty of other crap to do. Yeah, you can also propagate these by seed. You can make more of them by hybridizing or selfing, and you get a seed capsule, kind of like this growing. This little runty dead one isn't going to produce any seed, but you can propagate them that way. It just takes years, and you need labs as well. Some other genera that we find easy to grow are great houseplants, and again, fairly easy to divide and give away. This is the Basidium shooting stars black gold there in the corner. You can see the mother plant, the big growth. It's got two nice new growing pseudobulbs this year. And then that one to the right in the reddish pinkish pot, it has one new growth down at the base. You can see coming on there. I don't want to open the cabinet and disturb all the new growing root tips on things. That cutting we took about a year and a half ago, and it is now starting to grow, and I think will hopefully develop into more of a mature plant this year. It takes a while, but it's not difficult. We just threw it right into the regular media, cut it in the springtime. Actually, no, it was later summer when we took that cutting. So it seemed to be okay. Now, again, it's taken time to recover, but eventually, like this end of this summer, we'll give that cutting away once it becomes more established. Yeah, easy to do. Presidium, and then the Maxillarias, I think, are probably our favorite orchids to propagate. These guys, besides being really cool plants, just the foliage is awesome. The flowers, yes, they're small and they kind of are hidden in there. But for propagating, you just chop them, put them in media. And yes, these guys do generally seem to take more moisture, and so maybe you have to, like, we try to water them in the summer maybe twice a week and spray them, like we spray all around the roots that grow in the sheaths there. But you can see these cuttings we did take like 5 months ago, and they're blooming already profusely. There's blooms all down in there. There's like a couple that already died because they grew down into the media. Yeah, we need to redo this planting, but we'll wait till it's done flowering. The mother plant for this, here it is. So we just sporadically, like every spring and fall, take a group of cuttings like the one we just showed you. It's an amazing plant. I just love this for its foliage, and it's still blooming. It's blooming like crazy. The best year we've ever had for it. Not a ton of flowers, of course, but just really consistent all around. Yeah, I love the growth habit on these, and super easy to propagate. We've given so many of these away. This is probably the record of any houseplant I've ever owned that I've taken cuttings and given them away, including spider plants, if you can believe that. We've probably given more of these away than spider plants. Now then, Cattleyas. So the deal on the Cattleyas, we did divide this one. The sister cutting is back here. So that is the other half. It's that little one in the corner. It's that little guy there. So this was part of this plant. These were together. And it took about 2 years for them to recover. We did a video on them a while back. So we definitely don't recommend cutting your Cattleyas. Certainly not for us. We're indoor home growers. Our Cattleyas grow seemingly slow compared to, let's say, people down in Florida. The group of YouTubers that we lovingly call the Florida faction, you can see their videos for like how well Cattleyas do outdoors. I mean, we have realistic expectations. We're just happy to keep them alive through the winter, keep them growing, and cutting them, while yes, you can divide them when they're older and more established. For us, it's going to take like years for a single plant. So yeah, not recommended if you're in a situation similar to ours. Better just to let them grow until like it's basically absolutely necessary. No elective divisions. Some others that we are experimenting with cutting and dividing are the Catasetum types. This is our first attempt with a division. This plant right up front that you can see with the nice new growth down at the base, this is an SVO Black Pearl, Fred Clarkiara. After Dark, SVO Black Pearl is the full technical name of this hybrid. Gotta give a shout out to Fred Clark. He's awesome. He has his own genera named after him, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so supposedly you can divide these with a couple pseudobulbs, back bulbs, and they will grow. And there's another method that people have shown, a legitimate seeming method, where you place a cut bulb horizontally, kind of like in sphagnum moss. We have not tried that, so we cannot recommend it or tell you how to do it. That seems to be an option as well. We're going old-fashioned, so the corner little pot back there, that is the division that we took from this front plant. And we're kind of trying to do it, I guess, the simplest way, just put it into media and hope that one of the dormant nodes comes back alive and starts to grow. We'll see if that works. We'll keep you updated on that little experiment. What was that, lightning? Whoa. We'll keep you updated on how it goes, and with all of our, divisions and propagations that we tried to do here at El Pilar. Vanilla. So the vanilla plant here, if you followed our channel from the very beginning, well, thank you. And yeah, if you're new, hit subscribe and get tuned in for some updates on some of these plants, or most of them. But the vanilla was part of one large plant that was an amazing vine that we had growing in our last apartment over a huge south-facing window. It was beautiful. And then as our collection grew, we couldn't really water it because it was attached to the wall, and it's still in the same pot, this set of cuttings. The whole root ball died on the original plant. But for vanilla, they grow roots, and let's see if I can get it to focus here. So they grow these roots out of the nodes. So you can see right there that nice fleshy green growth coming out. That's a root that comes out of the nodes. And so you can take some divisions and fairly easily, we found, get them to establish. Now, it is a trick to keep them alive in a winter in a house. Takes some amount of work, but generally speaking, they aren't difficult once you kind of figure them out. And as far as taking cuttings, well, our friend has the better set of cuttings that we gifted him, I don't know, I guess last fall, sometime like that. It's doing really well for him. He has much better conditions in his apartment than we do for our vanillas. He's making it work, and yeah, it's awesome. We'll try to get some pictures that set of cuttings. But again, these are all fresh sets of cuttings. There was 3 or 4 vines that we just snipped it in different places and tried to put them down in the media. And a couple of them did die, but a couple of them have established now. So vanilla, also easy, fairly easy to take divisions and make more plants. Paphiopedilums, not so sure. If you're into slipper orchids like we are, supposedly you can take divisions, but honestly, these things grow so slow. Again, in our apartment, it would take years before we would feel comfortable having enough growing shoots to take cuttings. I mean, we've already been growing them for like 3 years, most of our Paphiopedilums, and certainly they're nowhere near cutting size. Like even something that's more established, like this Cotrixianum, 3 growing new fans, I guess, and certainly nowhere near division size. Can't recommend that one. The Paphiopedilum's also notoriously difficult, even for meristem cloning. So a lot of these are grown from seed, and they take a long time too. They're slow growers. So that's why they typically are a bit more expensive, generally speaking. But, nowadays you can still get them pretty cheaply, all things considered. Definitely recommend you try to, chop some of your plants. I know a lot of people would say don't recommend that people try dividing their orchids, but we're like, these plants, hey, what do you have to lose? It's a good way to extend the hobby and make gifts for friends and extend the orchid circle and family, give people something to do. And thanks for checking in, guys. We hope you're having a good one, and we will see you back here at El Pilar soon.